Hello everybody, Blue Tie here, the O Guy. Welcome to my segment Old News, where we look at some older, more classic, more vintage records. And on today's episode we're going to be diving into some King Crimson. King Crimson is a very important conscious stream within the rock genre. In 1969 they defined the idea of what a progressive rock record could be nearly single-handedly with their magnificent debut In the Court of the Crimson King, one of my most favorite albums of all time. After this, they would continue pushing the genre record after record, changing lineups, some artistic ideas, but keeping with the idea of being one of the most progressive and impressive groups to ever grace the rock genre. This wonderful idea comes to a spine-chilling dark climax on Red. This album is bleak, it is cold, it is the very epitome of dark within inside their discography. Without relying on tactics of over-heavy riffing or uber-dark lyricism, the thing is abrasive and disorienting, but heavily planned out and disciplined. The first instance of these thoughts comes straight out of the gate on the opening title track. This piece is confusing at first with its dissonant guitar harmonies, multiple time signature rhythm, and crunchy and chorus brushed bass. However, the sense is easily diluted when you start paying attention to how well these patterns and thoughts are being portrayed in the performance. Robert Fripp's chaotic and razor-thin guitar leads puncture right through the mix and are easily the most notable thing about this track. The backing rhythm is almost like a boat made out of mud carrying this chaotic guitar lead down a river of ink. This is one of the most dark and alarming tracks on here, but not so much dark in a bleak way like the rest of the album can be. The song feels more like being in a cold metal maze engulfed in pure pitch black. After that, we get a nice and easy transition to the next more lighthearted, at least sonically, song, Fallen Angel. This song seemed to be a bit of a callback to some of the more calm yet present sounding songs on their debuts, such as Epitaph. The melody that comes through on John Wetton's throat on this track is undeniably melancholic yet beautiful in its own right. The lyricism touches on a cryptic sense of a bleeding man through New York City. The instrumentation backs these ideas up, really setting the tone for a dark night in the city kind of feel. There's not much to say about the next track, One More Red Nightmare, other than the snare thrack sounds really weird and adds a great rhythm. The final section with the sax was great touch, but was easily ruined with the quick cutoff at the end. This conclusion to the first half is fairly anticlimactic and leaves a lot to be desired, honestly. The opener of the B-side, Providence, is an avant-garde piece and definitely calls yet back again to In the Court of the Crimson King, resembling Moonchild. However, that song was more of an experiment of what it would be like for instruments to have conversations, while as Providence is more of a dark and spastic atmosphere. Eventually this track explodes into a fantastic bass riff and a manic guitar lead. It simmers back down into some more avant-garde, which I also felt to be a bit anticlimactic as well. This album, however, wins my heart with the closing track, Starless. We get a gorgeous atmosphere of keyboard strings, clean guitar, and another fantastic vocal melody from Wetton, which reminds me of an early 70s folk rock feel, such as Gordon Lightfoot or Seals and Crofts. This section of the track is buttery smooth. After a few sets of verses and choruses, we slow down with an ominous bass line that nearly calls back to the title track. Some choppy ambient sounds appear in either ear throughout this section too. This trudges across into one of the best guitar solos in 70s prog rock, period. The bass and drums that support it are even better. It's the best climax on the album and in King Crimson's discography, only rivaled by songs like the title track of their debut album. The song begins to build up again with a scratchy chromatic chord progression that explodes into a fantastic sax breakdown. That then gets carried on through until the band breaks into a crazy and chaotic final solo that leads the album off into a brilliant jam of bass and keyboard strings, sending us off on a dark ambient drone for the last few minutes of the record. While these ideas and performances don't always know how to end properly or work in the album's favor, it doesn't take too much away from this masterpiece. King Crimson's Red is a dark and skin-piercing record that features some of the best musicianship, writing, and skilled performances in classic rock history. I'm feeling a 9.5 on this album right over here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the O Guy. I'll see you next time.